Welcome back to the channel, USA Coins 69, Coin Lovers and Treasure Seekers. Today's journey takes us deep into the world of copper, history, mystery, and rare value hidden inside one of the most ordinary-looking coins ever struck by the United States Mint. That's right, we're talking about the 1980 Lincoln 1-cent coin, a coin that millions of people have touched, but only a few have ever truly seen for what it is. You might be thinking, it's just a penny. But let me tell you, the humble penny has secrets worth tens of thousands of dollars. And one special penny from the year 1980 might just turn your pocket change into a life-changing payday. So grab a seat, pull out your coin jar, and let's explore the thrilling and surprising world of the 1980 Lincoln cent, a coin that may be hiding more value than you ever imagined. Let's rewind time to the year 1980. It was a time of cultural change and economic challenge. Ronald Reagan was rising to the national stage. Technology was on the horizon. People still used payphones and wrote checks. Gasoline was under $1, and the average person didn't think twice before tossing their spare pennies into a jar or giving them to a child for gum at the corner store. But while the world was moving fast, the U.S. Mint kept doing what it had done for generations, producing coins for the people, including the iconic Lincoln 1-cent coin. First introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. By 1980, the Lincoln cent had already become an American classic. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin features the bust of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side, facing right, making it the first American coin to feature a real historical person on the front. The reverse side still showed the Lincoln Memorial, a design added in 1959 to honor Lincoln's 150th birthday. It replaced the original wheat ears and offered a beautifully detailed image of one of America's most iconic buildings, with tiny columns and even a miniature statue of Lincoln visible between them if you look closely. But what made 1980 so special? That year, the Mint was still using 95% copper and 5% zinc in its Lincoln cents. It wasn't until 1982 that the composition changed to mostly zinc with a thin copper coating. So 1980 cents still had that heavy, solid feel of real metal, something coin collectors appreciate and value more and more with each passing year. Millions of pennies were minted in 1980, at Philadelphia, No mint mark, Denver, D mint mark, and San Francisco, S mint mark, used mostly for proof coins. With such high mintages, the average person didn't think twice about the coin. It was common. It was copper. It was everywhere, but among those millions, there were a few, just a few, that were struck in extraordinary ways, preserved in pristine condition, or born with rare mint errors that turned them into treasures. So what makes a 1980 Lincoln penny valuable today? There are three main factors that determine value: condition, rarity, and errors. Let's talk about condition first. A coin's condition is measured on the Sheldon scale, from 1 to 70. Anything graded MS 65 and above, MS stands for mint state, is considered uncirculated and in excellent condition. For coins from 1980, this is extremely rare because most pennies went straight into circulation, bouncing from hand to hand, getting scratched, tarnished, and worn over time. Finding a 1980 Lincoln penny in MS 67 or MS 68 condition is like finding a needle in a haystack. The detail, shine, and sharpness of such a coin are breathtaking, and collectors are willing to pay top dollar for it. But that's just the beginning. Next comes rarity and errors, and this is where the real fun begins. Some of the most valuable 1980 Lincoln pennies ever discovered had rare mint errors that occurred during production. These include double die obverse, DDO. This happens when the die that strikes the coin was impressed twice, slightly misaligned. It causes doubling in the date, the word liberty, or in God we trust. These coins are highly collectible, and when the doubling is strong, they can be extremely valuable. Off-center strikes. Coins that were struck off-center can show dramatic misalignment of the design. A 10%, 20%, or even 50% off-center 1980 penny, especially one where the date is still visible, can fetch hundreds or even thousands. Broad strikes and die cracks. These errors create unusual shapes, ridges, or raised lines on the coin surface. They're visually unique and sought after by error collectors. Struck on the wrong planchet. Imagine a penny struck on a dime-sized planchet, smaller, silver-colored, and totally wrong. These ultra-rare mistakes are worth a fortune, and let's not forget proof coins, which were struck in San Francisco with extra care, polished dies, and brilliant mirrored finishes. If you find a 1980s proof Lincoln cent in flawless condition, especially with a cameo contrast, it's a coin worth paying attention to. So where do these valuable coins come from? Many were simply kept safe by accident. A child saved them in a piggy bank. A collector put one aside in an album. Or maybe it slipped through unnoticed in a roll from the bank, hiding in plain sight for decades. And now, that brings us to the moment of truth. What's the highest a 1980 Lincoln penny has sold for? Recently, at a major U.S. coin auction, a 1980 Lincoln cent with a near-perfect mint state 68 red grade, rich copper color, sharp detail, and beautiful luster, crossed the auction block. Collectors immediately recognized its rarity. Competition was fierce. Bidding soared, and when the auctioneer's gavel finally fell, the coin sold for an astonishing $37,000. Yes, a single penny, once worth just 1 cent, sold for $37,000. That's the magic of coin collecting. A forgotten coin, a pocket find, or a childhood keepsake could be worth more than a car, a vacation, or even a year's salary. So don't underestimate the power of the penny. Check your coins. Examine the dates. Look closely for mint marks, errors, and condition. You never know what treasure you might be holding, and if you find a 1980 Lincoln penny that looks unusually sharp, perfectly struck, or strangely different, don't spend it. Get it graded. Get it checked. It might just be your golden ticket. Today's journey into American numismatic history brings us to one of the most underestimated coins in circulation, the 1973 Lincoln 1-cent coin. It may seem like just another common coin, but don't let its small size fool you. Hidden within this humble penny is a story of rarity, metal, craftsmanship, and astonishing value. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why this copper beauty has become one of the most surprising treasures in the hands of lucky collectors, with one rare piece fetching a jaw-dropping $47,000. Before we get into what makes the 1973 Lincoln penny so valuable, let's first look at the world in 1973. The Vietnam War was winding down. Oil prices were spiking. The world was shifting politically and culturally. Gasoline was cheap, music was loud, and nobody could imagine a time when a single penny might be worth more than an entire car. Yet, in the midst of all that history, the United States Mint was doing what it had done for generations, producing coins for everyday commerce. But within the millions of coins minted that year, a few were born with exceptional traits, the kind that would make collectors decades later do a double take. The Lincoln penny itself is a cornerstone of American coinage. Since 1909, it has carried the profile of one of the nation's greatest presidents, Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person. The obverse side features Lincoln's portrait facing right, while the reverse side, at least in 1973, still showcased the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to commemorate Lincoln's 150th birthday. The detail on these coins, especially in uncirculated or proof condition, is breathtaking. You can often see the statue of Lincoln seated inside the memorial, a tiny but powerful reminder of the coin's tribute. Now let's dive into the minting specifics. In 1973, the U.S. Mint produced Lincoln pennies in 3 locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D mint mark; and San Francisco, S mint mark. Each mint struck millions of coins, especially the Philadelphia and Denver mints, which handled the bulk of general circulation coins. San Francisco, on the other hand, focused mainly on proof coins, those with mirror-like finishes and sharp details made especially for collectors. Millions of these coins entered everyday circulation, where they were handled, dropped, saved, lost, and eventually forgotten. Most became scratched, worn down, or discolored over time. But a rare few were spared, saved by accident, preserved by luck, or untouched due to a collector's foresight. These survivors, in the best condition or with minting errors, have become some of the most sought-after Lincoln cents on the planet. Now let's talk about the big 3: condition, mint mark, and minting errors. First up is condition. This alone can make the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and one worth thousands. Graded on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70, coins that rank MS65, MS66, or MS67 red, where red refers to the coin's original copper shine, are incredibly valuable. Why? Because coins in this condition are virtually flawless. They show sharp strike details, no wear, and almost no visible scratches or blemishes. Collectors today go wild for 1973 Lincoln pennies that are certified by top grading services like PCGS or NGC in near-perfect condition. A 1973 D or 1973 S Lincoln cent in mint state 67 red can be a showstopper in any coin collection. Then there's the matter of mint marks. While the Philadelphia Mint didn't use a mint mark in 1973, the Denver and San Francisco mints did. Coins from San Francisco, especially proof coins with the S mint mark, are highly collectible. Some rare proof coins from 1973 have cameo or deep cameo designations, referring to their stunning contrast between frosted and mirrored surfaces, and these are worth paying close attention to, but the real wild card here is errors. And boy, does the 1973 Lincoln penny have some fascinating error varieties. Let's go over just a few. One of the most prized is the double die obverse, DDO, where the coin is struck twice slightly out of alignment, resulting in doubled lettering or numbers. Imagine looking at your 1973 penny and seeing two distinct 3S in the date, or a shadowed appearance on the word Liberty. That's a double die, and depending on severity and condition, it can skyrocket the coin's value. Then there are off-center strikes, where the coin is not aligned properly during minting. A 5% or 10% off-center coin might look cool, but a 40% or 50% off-center coin where the full date is still visible? Now that's a jackpot. Next, you have broad strikes, where the coin is pressed without the retaining collar, giving it a stretched and strange appearance. And let's not forget die cracks, cuds, clipped planchets, and struck-through errors, where foreign objects get in the way during minting. All of these mistakes are rare, and collectors are obsessed with them. Now, you might be wondering, could one of these pennies be sitting in your coin jar right now? The answer is absolutely yes. There have been multiple reports of people discovering rare 1973 Lincoln cents in old change jars, inherited coin collections, and even from rolled coins bought at the bank. They often go unnoticed for years, because who checks their pennies? But now, you know better. You know the story, the details, and what to look for, and you'll be amazed to know what one of these coins recently sold for. At a major numismatic auction, a 1973 D Lincoln cent, graded MS67 red, showcasing brilliant color, near-perfect strike, and flawless surfaces, was put up for bidding. Multiple collectors recognized the rarity, and the bidding escalated quickly. When the final bid came in and the auctioneer slammed the gavel, the winning price stunned the room. That single Lincoln penny, born in 1973, sold for an astonishing $47,000. Yes, you heard that right, a 1-cent coin, the kind you could still find in circulation today, sold for $47,000. That's enough to buy a new car. Enough for a down payment on a house. Enough to change someone's financial story, all because they held on to, or discovered, a tiny copper coin from 1973 in outstanding condition. So what are you waiting for? Check your pockets. Go through your old jars. Look carefully at those old pennies you ignored for years. You never know, you could be holding a treasure without even realizing it. Today, we're diving deep into the incredible story of a coin that most people pass over every single day, the 1978 Lincoln 1-cent coin. To the average person, this penny is just another coin tossed into a change jar or forgotten in a car cup holder. But what if I told you that a rare version of this very coin could be worth as much as $40,000? Yes, you heard that right. A coin you may already have in your possession could be a hidden treasure, and in this video, we're going to uncover why this small copper coin has such a big story behind it. So, buckle up, because the history, the minting mystery, and the collector passion behind the 1978 Lincoln penny will leave you amazed. Let's rewind time to the year 1978. Disco was still lighting up the dance floors, Star Wars fever had just begun, and Americans were putting their trust in President Jimmy Carter. Amidst all the cultural changes, the United States Mint was doing something quietly, producing coins, millions and millions of them, for use in everyday commerce. That year, the Lincoln cent was just doing what it always did, sitting in people's pockets, paying for candy bars, parking meters, and coffee. But what most people never noticed is that not all 1978 pennies were created equal. The Lincoln penny is one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history. Since its first minting in 1909 to celebrate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, this coin has held its place as the humble yet powerful representation of America's commitment to honor its great leaders. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse of the coin displays the right-facing profile of Lincoln, along with the words, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date. On the reverse side, from 1959 to 2008, we see the Lincoln Memorial, a bold architectural tribute to the very man whose face graces the front. Now, what makes the 1978 Lincoln penny special? It wasn't the last year of a design. It wasn't a commemorative issue. And yet, it is one of the most searched pennies in the collector community today. Why? It's all in the details: the mint mark, the condition, and those rare, minting errors that can send collectors into a frenzy. In 1978, the penny was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia Mint produced coins with no mint mark, while the Denver Mint coins are marked with a D, and the San Francisco coins, generally proof versions, are marked with an S. Now, while millions were made in each location, only a small percentage of these coins have survived the decades in pristine, untouched condition. And that, my friends, is the key to unlocking value. Let's start with condition. Coin collectors grade their coins on a 70-point scale called the Sheldon scale. Coins that rank at mint state 65, 66, or higher are exceptionally rare. These are coins that have never been in circulation, never been tossed around in pockets or purses. They've been preserved for decades, often discovered in forgotten rolls, proof sets, or old family collections. A 1978 penny with a brilliant red copper luster, zero wear, and a sharp strike can fetch high dollars simply for its condition. But now, let's get into the exciting part: mint errors. Every now and then, a coin escapes the mint with a mistake. These coins are not damaged after production, the flaws happen during the minting process itself, making them genuine errors that collectors crave. Some 1978 pennies have been found with double dies, where the letters or numbers appear to have been struck twice. You might see a doubling effect in the word "Liberty," or even in the date itself. Others have been found with off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned, sometimes up to 50% off, giving the coin a warped, almost surreal appearance. Then you have broad strikes, die cracks, and the elusive struck-through error, where foreign materials interfere during minting, creating an unusual texture or missing detail. And then there's the most mysterious category: transitional errors. These occur when coins are mistakenly struck using outdated dies or incorrect metal compositions. While most 1978 pennies were minted with 95% copper and 5% zinc, it's always possible, and it has happened in other years, that a blank meant for a different composition was mistakenly used, creating a rare hybrid coin that's nearly impossible to duplicate. So what does this mean for you? It means that even if you're not a professional collector, you might still hold one of these valuable coins without knowing it. Maybe it's in a jar on your shelf, maybe it's tucked in a drawer, or maybe it's hiding in plain sight, sitting in your wallet. Here's what you need to look for: sharp strike details, flawless surfaces, a full red color with no dark spotting, and of course, any signs of error. Use a magnifying glass. Check the mint mark. Examine the words and numbers closely. If anything seems unusual, you may have struck gold and copper. To give you an example of just how far these coins can go, let's talk about a recent discovery. A collector stumbled upon a 1978 Lincoln cent from the Denver Mint, bearing the D mint mark, that had been sitting untouched in a roll for decades. The coin was later graded as MS-67 red by one of the top grading services. It had flawless luster, microscopic detail, and no visible marks. But that wasn't all. The coin also showed signs of a very light double die, making it one of a kind. When this coin went up for auction, bidders from around the country competed fiercely for it. After a dramatic bidding war, the final price stunned everyone watching. the humble Lincoln penny from 1978, a coin originally worth just 1 cent, sold for a whopping $40,000, yes, that's $40,000. Just imagine turning a penny into a small fortune. This is the power of numismatics, the thrill of history, rarity, and discovery wrapped into one tiny coin. And it all begins with you taking a second look at what you already have. So don't throw your pennies away. Don't ignore the ones sitting in that dusty coin jar. Grab a loop, do a little research, and see if you might be the lucky owner of the next $40,000 penny. Today's story is all about a coin that might seem ordinary at first glance, but when you look closely, it reveals something absolutely incredible. We're talking about none other than the United States Lincoln 1-cent coin from the year 1981, with its mint mark. Yes, that simple penny you might have overlooked could actually be a small fortune waiting to be discovered. Now, most people don't pay much attention to pennies. They get tossed in jars, left in drawers, or passed over entirely. But coin collectors, or numismatists as they're known, know better. Because when it comes to certain dates, certain conditions, and especially unique minting errors, a penny can be worth far, far more than 1 cent. So let's take a journey into the history of the 1981 Lincoln cent and uncover why this small copper coin has captured the attention of collectors across the world. The year was 1981. Ronald Reagan had just been elected President of the United States. MTV was about to change music forever. The first space shuttle was launched. And at the United States Mint, something historic was quietly coming to an end. The era of the solid copper penny was about to be over. That's right, 1981 marked the final full year when the Lincoln cents were still being minted using a 95% copper and 5% zinc alloy. By 1982, the mint would begin shifting to a new composition, copper-plated zinc, a change driven by the rising cost of copper. So what does this mean for the 1981 penny? It makes it a special kind of relic. A piece of history from the last days of the all-copper era. That alone makes it appealing to collectors. But that's just the beginning. The 1981 penny was struck at 3 major U.S. mint locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The coins from Denver carry the D mint mark. Those from San Francisco have an S, and the Philadelphia coins traditionally had no mint mark at all. Now, here's the interesting part: while millions of these pennies were produced, the number of surviving coins in pristine condition is remarkably low. And that's where value comes into play. Let's talk condition. A penny straight from the mint, with no scratches, full red color, strong luster, and a perfect strike is called a mint state coin. These coins are graded on the Sheldon scale, from 1 to 70. For modern coins, any grade above 65 is considered outstanding. But when a coin is found in mint state 67 or higher, it becomes a rare gem. And it's these rare gems that catch the eye of serious collectors and auction houses. But wait, there's more. The 1981 Lincoln cent is also famous for something else: varieties and errors. You see, that year, the mint used more than one design for the lettering on the coin, specifically, the style of the letters in Liberty and In God We Trust. These are called Type 1 and Type 2 varieties. Type 2 had sharper, more refined lettering, and it's far less common. Collectors are always on the hunt for a sharp Type 2 strike in high grade, because it's the combination of rarity, quality, and history that makes such a coin truly valuable. And then we enter the fascinating world of minting errors, the factory flaws that are loved by collectors. Double dies, off-center strikes, die breaks, clipped planchets, each of these errors tells a story. A few 1981 pennies have been discovered with dramatic doubling in the date or inscriptions. Others were struck slightly off-center, creating a very noticeable shift in the design. These are not post-mint damage coins, they were minted incorrectly at the factory, making them collectible treasures. And guess what? The more dramatic or rare the error, the higher the price a collector is willing to pay. And here's the kicker: most of these errors go unnoticed. They hide in plain sight, in old coin rolls, in penny jars, even in pocket change. So how do you know if you have a valuable 1981 penny? First, look for the mint mark, especially the D or S. Next, examine the condition. Does it have a brilliant red luster? Are the details of Lincoln's hair and coat crisp and sharp? Any scratches or wear could decrease the value, but a coin in flawless mint state condition could be worth hundreds, or even thousands. Now, bring out the magnifying glass. Look closely at the inscriptions. Do you see doubling in Liberty or In God We Trust? Is the date bold and clearly struck? Are there any unusual marks, shapes, or textures? These could be signs of a rare error coin. If you suspect anything, don't clean the coin, just store it carefully and consider getting it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. Let's not forget proof coins. The San Francisco Mint struck a number of 1981 Lincoln cents as proof coins, intended for collectors. These coins are mirror-like in finish, with stunning detail and visual appeal. A 1981 S-proof penny in perfect condition, graded PR 70, is extremely rare and highly valuable. These coins were sold in sets, so if your family has an old 1981 proof set lying around, it's time to take a closer look, and here's where the story gets even more exciting. A coin collector in California recently discovered a 1981 Lincoln penny that had been tucked away for decades. It was flawless, full red color, beautiful luster, and struck with such precision that experts described it as museum quality. To the untrained eye, it looked like any other penny. But this one was special. It was sent for grading and came back as MS-68 red, an exceptionally rare grade for a penny from that era. The coin was eventually auctioned off in a major numismatic sale. Collectors from around the world competed for it, and the final hammer price? A jaw-dropping $50,000, yes, that's right. Just 1 cent turned into $50,000, and this is why every coin tells a story of art, of history, of hidden value. It's why collectors are passionate, curious, and always hunting. Because you never know which coin might be the next great discovery. It could be in your drawer. It could be in your change jar. It could be in your hand right now. So before you toss your pennies aside or trade them in for cash, take a moment. Look closely. Because that 1 cent could be worth $50,000. Today's story is going to completely change how you look at the tiny coins resting at the bottom of your pockets, drawers, or old coin jars. Because hiding among those common-looking pennies might be a rare gem that's worth more than you could ever imagine. We're diving deep into the mystery and hidden fortune of the 1971 Lincoln 1-cent coin with a mint mark, a coin that could turn into a jaw-dropping payday for the lucky person who holds the right one. Now, I want you to pause for a moment and imagine this. You're going through some old coins, maybe you're rolling up pennies, checking your piggy bank, or even counting loose change from under the car seats, and suddenly, you come across a 1971 penny. Looks old, maybe a bit worn, or maybe even shiny and untouched. What if I told you that very coin could potentially be worth tens of thousands of dollars? That's not an exaggeration, that's the fascinating reality of the numismatic world. Let's explore why the 1971 Lincoln penny has collectors searching far and wide for certain versions, especially ones with rare features and mint errors that send their value through the roof. First, a bit of background. The 1971 Lincoln penny belongs to the beloved Lincoln cent series that started back in 1909. It features the classic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the front, a design by Victor David Brenner that has stood the test of time for over a century. But what makes the 1971 version particularly intriguing isn't just its age or design, it's the story behind its production, its metal composition, its rare variants, and the valuable errors that make some versions extremely desirable among collectors. The 1971 penny was minted in 3 main locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, with the D mint mark; and San Francisco, with the S mint mark. Each mint produced millions of coins, that's right, millions. But only a very small number survived the decades in perfect condition. Even fewer possess rare errors or special varieties that make them stand out. The composition of the 1971 penny was still the traditional 95% copper and 5% zinc alloy, a composition that would soon be phased out by the 1980s due to rising copper prices. Each penny weighs about 3.11 grams and has that familiar reddish-brown copper tone that can turn darker with age. But what should you be looking for when it comes to rare 1971 pennies? let's start with the mint mark. If your coin has a D under the date, it was struck in Denver. An S means San Francisco, and no mint mark means it came from Philadelphia. All of these are valuable in the right condition, but there's one detail you cannot afford to ignore: the possibility of double die errors. Now, a double die error occurs when the coin is struck more than once with a misaligned die, and it results in a visible doubling of the text or design elements. For the 1971 penny, the most famous and most valuable is the 1971 double die obverse, where the doubling is visible on the words, "Liberty, in God we trust," and the date, 1971. These are not post-mint damages, they happen during the striking process, making them incredibly rare and sought after. Even slight doubling can make the coin significantly more valuable. But if you're lucky enough to find a strong, clearly visible double die in high mint state, you're looking at a potential treasure. Next, let's talk about grade and condition. Coin grading is a whole science in itself. A coin's condition is judged on the Sheldon scale, ranging from 1, poor, to 70, perfect uncirculated condition. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin. Coins that have been kept in pristine condition, no scratches, no dullness, no finger oils, are referred to as mint state coins and receive grades like MS65, MS66, and above. A 1971 penny graded MS67 red, meaning it retains its original red luster and is in nearly perfect shape, is exceptionally rare. Most coins from that year saw everyday use, meaning they were passed from hand to hand, worn down, scratched, and dulled. Very few survived untouched, making high-grade examples treasures. What's more, San Francisco proof coins, the ones with the S mint mark, were specially made for collectors. These were never meant for circulation and have a mirror-like finish. Proof coins graded PR69 or PR70 can also be incredibly valuable, especially if they show full cameo contrast and no flaws under magnification. And here's where it gets even more exciting: there are off-center strike errors, where the coin is not aligned properly when struck, leaving part of the design off the edge. There are clipped planchets, where a chunk of the coin is literally missing. Some 1971 pennies were struck on the wrong metal planchet, for example, a cent that was accidentally struck on a dime planchet. These types of errors are so bizarre and rare that they can fetch huge money from eager collectors. Now picture this: someone out there recently discovered a 1971 Lincoln cent with a strong double die, a bright red finish, and an MS68 grade. They had it sitting in an old coin album, forgotten, gathering dust for years. When it was graded and authenticated, the numismatic world was stunned by its quality and rarity, and when it went to auction, it was sold to a passionate collector who had been hunting for a piece like this for decades. That 1-cent coin, a simple Lincoln penny minted in 1971, sold for a life-changing $54,000, yes. A penny. A tiny copper coin that most people don't even glance at. But to a collector? It was a rare gem, a masterpiece of minting history, and that's why, if you have a 1971 Lincoln penny, don't ignore it. Look carefully. Use a magnifier. Look for the mint mark. Look for doubling. Look at the condition. Compare it to known examples. And if you suspect it's special, get it graded by a professional coin grading service. You never know, you could be holding a treasure. This is the beauty of coin collecting. It's not just about metal or money. It's about history, rarity, craftsmanship, and the thrill of discovery. So next time you find an old penny in your change, don't dismiss it. It might just be one of those rare survivors from 1971, and it could be worth $54,000. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more incredible coin stories, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a single treasure hunting tip. Share this video with friends and family, especially the ones who might have coin jars full of forgotten wealth. Thanks for watching, and as always, keep searching, keep learning, and keep believing in the extraordinary value hidden in the ordinary.